The Koch family. How a private empire built a $100 billion fortune. What if one family, mostly unknown to the public, controlled an empire larger than many countries' economies? No flashy tech launches, no celebrity CEOs, just pipelines, refineries, chemicals, and quiet power. Behind the scenes of American industry stands the Koch family, a name linked to enormous wealth, political influence, and one of the largest private companies in the world. But how did this family build such massive fortune? Where did the money come from? And how did one engineer's invention turn into a multi-generational empire? This is the history and the source of wealth of the Koch family. Fred Koch and the birth of an industrial empire. The Koch family story begins in the early 20th century with Fred C. Koch, born in 1900 in Texas. Fred was not born rich. He was an engineer, specifically a chemical engineer with a talent for solving complex industrial problems. In the 1920s and 1930s, oil refineries were inefficient and expensive to operate. Fred Koch developed an improved oil cracking process, a method that made gasoline production cheaper and more efficient. This invention became the cornerstone of his fortune. However, major U.S. oil companies at the time were reluctant to license his technology. So Fred took his expertise abroad, helping build refineries in countries like the Soviet Union and Germany during the 1930s. A controversial move, but one that brought in money and experience. In 1940, Fred founded Koch Industries in Wichita, Kansas. At first, it was a modest operation focused on oil refining and engineering services. But Fred had a long-term vision. Own the infrastructure, control production, reinvest profits relentlessly. By the time Fred Koch died in 1967, Koch Industries was already a strong, profitable private company. But the real explosion of wealth was still to come. The brothers, the battles, and the expansion of wealth. Fred Koch left behind 4 sons, Frederick, Charles, David, William, and with them a family inheritance that would spark one of the most intense business rivalries in American history. Charles and David take control. Eventually, Charles Koch emerged as the dominant leader, becoming CEO of Koch Industries in 1967. Later, his brother David Koch joined him. Together, Charles and David transformed the company from a regional oil business into a diversified industrial giant. They expanded into oil pipelines and refineries, chemicals and fertilizers, commodity trading, energy infrastructure. Koch Industries began acquiring companies aggressively, including Georgia-Pacific, paper and packaging, Invista, owner of Lycra and chemical fibers, energy manufacturing and logistics firms across the U.S. Family lawsuits and power struggles. Not all brothers agreed on the direction of the company. Legal battles erupted in the 1980s and 1990s with lawsuits worth hundreds of millions of dollars. In the end, Charles and David retained control. Other brothers exited the business with settlements bracy. These internal battles quietly reshaped the company, making it more centralized, disciplined, and ruthlessly efficient. By the early 2000s, Koch Industries had become one of the largest private companies in the world, generating tens of billions of dollars in annual revenue. The source of Koch wealth, business model, influence, and legacy. Where the money really comes from. The Koch family's wealth does not come from one product, it comes from control of systems. Their fortune is built on energy infrastructure, manufacturing and chemicals, transportation and logistics, commodity trading, consumer products used every day. Unlike public companies, Koch Industries is privately owned, meaning no shareholders to answer to, long-term strategies instead of quarterly pressure, profits reinvested instead of distributed. This structure allowed the Koch family to quietly compound wealth for decades. Political and ideological influence. The Koch family is also known for its political involvement, particularly Charles and David Koch. They funded think tanks, educational programs, policy organizations. Their stated goal was to promote free markets, limited government, and individual liberty. Supporters call this principled philanthropy. Critics argue it gives the family outsized political influence. Regardless of opinion, one fact remains. The Koch family shaped American economic and political conversations for over half a century, the modern Koch empire. After David Koch's death in 2019, Charles Koch became the sole leading figure. Today, Koch Industries generates over $100 billion in annual revenue. The Koch family remains among the richest families in the world. Their wealth is spread across industry, philanthropy, and private investments. Yet unlike many billionaires, the Kochs remain largely out of the spotlight. Powerful, private, and deeply embedded in the backbone of modern industry. From one engineer's invention to a global industrial empire, the Koch family proves that the biggest fortunes aren't always built in public view. They didn't sell apps. They didn't chase fame. They built infrastructure and quietly reshaped the economy. And that is the history and source of wealth of the Koch family. If you learned something this video, do not forget to subscribe for more histories.